Alright, so we are here with another mousepad review. Not necessarily a new review, but more so a update on a familiar pad here. So I did a review on the FreeFall SVBC control, and now we have the new iteration, the updated one, the SVBC control 2. It is still the same retail pricing of $34.99. Shipping for me was $13. And so grand total comes out to $47.99 or just $48. The shipping, I'm not too sure if it's just a flat rate shipping of $13 for everyone, or if it's just with me because of where I live here in California in the US. Also, the mousepad does come shipped flat. It is still very nice to see that the pricing is still very competitive and the mousepad is being shipped flat. Now, in terms of usage of the mousepad of this one, I've been using it for roughly 3.5 to 4 days since I've received it. Now, going over like some of the bad things of the mousepad, there really isn't anything bad to say about this second iteration, aside from still no color options. But now on to the main issue here. I actually put out a video somewhat recently, like a few weeks ago, of having sensor issues with this HSK on the first iteration of this mousepad, the SVBC control, of it not tracking properly when I enable 4K, and slowly it got a little bit worse and worse, and it was perfectly fine on this mousepad of 4K, 2K, and 1K was working perfectly fine. But after using this mousepad multiple days, I think I've found the issue of why the mouse was acting up with the first mousepad, and because it is happening again with this mousepad. And the issue is because of the abrasive surface of the mousepad, but because it's abrasive, my hand, I am just playing it all over the mousepad, and so on the play area it is accumulating dead skin and dirt, and so that is causing sensor issues on the play area. Like on other areas where it's perfectly fine, like here on the edge where I don't play, works perfectly fine, but in the play area it has those sensor issues that I was talking about, where it doesn't track and it skips or stutters. And so if I want to prevent that, I have to keep constantly cleaning the mousepad or invest in a sleeve in the future, which I would suggest to everyone who buys this mousepad or anything similar to it with a abrasive surface. Invest in a arm sleeve of some sort with a hand cover. I believe Pulsar has like 20 different sleeves to choose from, which I'm probably going to end up buying. And in part with the abrasive nature, that is also kind of a bad thing for some people, because it could irritate some people's skin if you're just like scratching your hand on it or arm. For me, I had no problem, aside from, like I said, the dead skin accumulating on the mousepad causing sensor issues. But in terms of how it feels on my hand and arm, it's not bad. So moving on to the next bad thing of the mousepad, which has improved quite a bit, which I'm very happy about, and it could just be because of my surface, but the main reason why I couldn't recommend the first mousepad was because of the base. Problem it had was, for me, during games where I'd be sliding my arm around, it would move the mousepad all over the place like so, and it just end up in like weird funky positions like this. And I play towards the top of my mousepad, and as you can see, the mousepad underneath, I'd be playing like up here, and over time it just slowly goes down like this. That was the main issue I had with the mousepad the first iteration. The second one here, it does that still, but very slightly. It's not as bad. The only time where it's like really been bad was like in comparison to how I have it set now, it just go down like so. Not too bad, and that's like the worst, which has only happened like twice in comparison to like the 80 times that's happened with the first pad. But for the most part, it's like very slight where it's like whoop, it doesn't happen as much. So definitely a big improvement. I know I have it on top of another mouse pad, so it's not great to show, but kind of give you an idea of how much it's moved in comparison to the first pad. So great improvement. Still kind of happens time to time, so it definitely depends on your surface that you play on. For me, it kind of just doesn't work out, but definitely great to see how much they've improved. And speaking of improvements, another thing I had an issue with was the stitching of the mouse pad. Even though obviously stitching doesn't cause any issues with how the mouse pad plays, aside from like if the stitching starts tearing and then the surface obviously comes off. But the stitching, there was a bit of fraying happening on my pad with the first one, and then not only that, something I don't think I mentioned, but the actual like edges was raised, so it'd be over the actual surface level. But now they've improved the stitching quite a bit, For my pad here, it is leveled with the surface here, which is very nice. On their website, they do state that it can be either leveled or like underneath where it rolls under almost, and I assume that's due to like how the silicone is cut or whoever is stitching. But definitely some very big improvements. And also another improvement I've realized while I was like doing this, checking out the two pads side by side, which I'm going to go grab the other one. So I got the other pad here, and I'm gonna try and do my best here to try and show this. So this is the very first pad that I'm holding here, the first iteration. So this is probably like the worst corner of the entire pad, or like the worst stitching, as you can see, like right there. But mainly here, we're going to take a look at this corner. Sorry about the focus, but as you can see, there's like quite a bit of gaps. It's a bit jagged, so it's good stitching, not too bad, but I just want to show off the improvements that they've made. And so now this is the second pad, the new one, and they've improved quite a bit. It's more consistent. There's not as big of a gap in between any of them, and no really like jagged edges or anything like that. So like I said, even though the stitching doesn't like affect the performance of the pad itself, it's definitely very cool to see the improvements that they've made in comparisons between the two pads. So I do want to give a big shout to that. That's really cool to see, especially considering they actually commented on my last video talking about why the stitching was the way that it was, because of how hard silicone is to stitch with. And so again, to see that major improvement between just two pads is really cool to see. So moving on to the surface of the pad, it's a control pad as they state. However, the surface does feel a bit quick, just letting you know, even though I am kind of cheating here with a 28-gram mouse with sapphire dots. So it's definitely a bit more quicker than normal in comparison to other mice, but it does allow for really finer movements and quick stops if needed for that control that is necessary for a pad like this, and definitely feels really great. Now at the end here, do I think the pad is worth it at $48? The second iteration definitely is worth it in my opinion. I really recommend it. It's very competitive in pricing, especially if you are someone looking into this type of a surface where it's really quick, but gives you quite a bit of control as well. Me being a low DPI, low sensitivity player, I definitely really like it, especially combined with the HSK 4K Pro with sapphire dots. Gives me a lot of speed that I like, but at the same time a lot of control. But like I said before in the beginning, I definitely recommend investing in a arm sleeve, so you don't have the same issue as me of just accumulation of dirt and dead skin here, causing any potential sensor issues like I'm having. Anyways, that's going to be it. Hopefully this was somewhat informative and helpful on your next purchase. FreeFall, if you see this video, really great pad. I am very happy with the improvements. It's great to see you guys comment on the last video and giving me insight on what goes on and following up on those improvements that you said you would do. Definitely great to see it. Hopefully in the future, more color waves. I would love to see this in a purple of some sort or a matching pink maybe. But anyways, see you guys later.